So our Q&A today is centered around mental health. First question, when should you take a mental health day? And how do you express that you need it to your boss or manager? Okay, I have a lot of opinions on this one. One, if you're feeling fried or overwhelmed, or you're sad, or you're just feeling anxious, sometimes I feel anxious. I think everybody feels anxious sometimes, to be honest with you, or most anybody anyways. If you're feeling those things, if you're feeling like, I don't know about you, but like sometimes I feel like, I have like so much stuff, administrative life stuff to do, and I keep pushing it off, or I have so many doctor's appointments I need to go to. I need to get my teeth cleaned. I need to get a checkup. I got to go to the gyno. I got to do all this stuff. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed emotionally, if you're feeling underwater in terms of just the running of your life and the management of your life, I don't think the default solution is to ask for a mental health day, but if you can't get it, if you can't catch a break, if you can't get it done on Saturdays or Sundays, you can't make things happen over work, and you're just feeling bad, that's the perfect time to ask for a mental health day. Now, my personal opinion is that your mental health is not your boss or your manager's business. So I don't think you need to say, hey, I'm taking a day off because I need a mental health day. I don't think that's anybody's business. Millennial people probably will say that that's wrong. That said, if you need a day off, be respectful, give your boss a little bit of notice and say, hey, I'd like to take Friday off. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to do. Or just simply, hey, I need to take Friday off. Does that work for you? I'll make sure everything is covered. I'm not going to be available, but I'll make sure that things are in a good place before I leave, and everything, I'll be ready to go on Monday. I think the when you ask for it is when you need it. If things feel overwhelming, if you're feeling in a rut and you can't get out of it, and if you can't solve the mountain of things you need to do in your life outside of the hours of work, that's a perfect opportunity to ask for a mental health day. I don't think you can ask for one every month. I don't think you can ask for one every week. I think you got to be judicious about when you ask for it. And then my personal opinion is that when you need a day off, it's nobody's business why you need a day off. You could be going on vacation. You could be going and getting roaring drunk tonight, and you just need tomorrow off to recover from it. That's not my business. Your life is your life. Your job is your job. People may disagree with that, but I think that just being respectful about when you ask for time off, how you ask for time off, and making sure that things are covered when you ask for time off or when you take time off, then I think you're in good shape. So the other thing I would say on it, if you're feeling so badly or so overwhelmed or shit just is going so wrong or so sideways for you, and you really need a mental health day, you may want to think about what you need beyond a mental health day. Like, the mental health day isn't the solution. A mental health day is a chance to take your breath, clear your head, get whatever you need to get done, take a beat, have a break from work. That's totally appropriate. I think the bigger thing is if you're feeling stressed at work, or you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling like things in your personal life are kind of creeping into your work life, you may want to have a bigger conversation with your partner. You may want to spend some time thinking yourself about why you're unhappy, or how you're unhappy, or what's making you unhappy. And you may want to have a conversation with your boss about how you're feeling overall. So like one example here is that there's someone here who I've had my eye on, who I've been a little bit worried about. I reached out to the person and I was like, hey, you okay? And I just want to check in on you. Are you all right? And I had a lot of empathy for it. I've been through something similar, and I was like, hey, get a cat, which is generally, I think, my mental health advice, get a cat. But in all seriousness, I was like, hey, do you need some time off? Do you need someone to talk to? Do you need support or resources that we're not giving you here, or that would help you feel better? And one, I think it was appreciated that the person was noticed and heard. Two, I think it's always just it at least makes me feel better if someone reaches out to you when they know you're in need and offers some empathy or support. And then three is to make sure you know what resources are out there to help you feel better overall. So by all means, take all the mental health days in the world, but be good to yourself and be thoughtful about what help you need to make sure you're feeling at your best, and also commit and be an active participant in what you need to do to change your circumstance. I think the biggest thing is if you keep doing the same things, nothing's ever going to change. And I think the hardest thing about mental health is when you're feeling down or you're feeling anxious or you're feeling overwhelmed, there's likely a root cause or many root causes for that. And if you really want to change them, you need to be an active participant in it. All right, second Q&A. As a manager, how do I respect someone's mental health but still hold expectations of output? Okay, this should be, in my opinion, fairly easy. As the boss, your job is to make sure that you have as high-performing, as high-powered a team as possible who are delivering the outputs you need to make sure that your group, your team, your division, your company, your whatever is successful. Part of having high-powered and high-performing people means that people are at their best. And thinking about someone's contribution at work as it relates to the actual work itself, and thinking about how someone is showing up at work in terms of what's going on in their head or what's going on in their heart, both of those things are really important. You never can lose sight of what you're trying to accomplish. But I think as a manager, you really want to have an eye towards, hey, this is what makes my team tick. This is what makes this person in front of me go. How do I get the most out of this person? How do I support this person in the best way possible? How do I push this person in the way that is most conducive to a successful result or outcome? So you always have to think a little bit about not just the work, but also the head and the heart and everything that goes behind it. But so long as you have a good sense of what makes a person tick, where a person is coming from, have empathy for everybody's situation. Every person is going through something. You got to remember that. You can have a lot of heart and a lot of compassion about that without losing sight of like, hey, we've got to hit the numbers this quarter. So that's how I would really approach it, is thinking about the whole person, thinking about the whole team in the context of what your bigger goal is that you're trying to achieve. Next question is, what are your tips for dealing with a coworker that's always negative and affecting my mood and energy at work? Ugh, I hate these people. I hate negative people. Negativity is contagious. Like, it is a disease. I hate negativity. It actually like drives me nuts. And I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of when you always have to interface with someone who is just a total Debbie Downer, total negative, total buzzkill, just bleh. I have a couple things that I would think about. One is that these kind of people can enter your life and they can enter your work. And the single best thing you can do is to identify it. So when you have like an energy vampire who's entered your life, you got to find a way to spend as little time as possible with the energy vampire to protect yourself against the energy vampire. And then, ultimately to possibly confront and solve things with the energy vampire. The same kind of is true at work. When you're around someone who is really negative and makes you feel badly about work, about who you are, about what you do, about how you do it, I think the best thing to do would be obviously to minimize the amount of time you spend with that person. Sometimes that gets to a boiling point. Like, I know I've been in this situation and I just have a hard time biting my tongue sometimes. And in that case, I think the best thing to do would be just like to punch the person in the nose. And I don't mean that literally, but what I do mean is like, call the person on it. The next time they're like a total buzzkill, or the next time they try to gossip about every coworker that you work with, or they seek to criticize you and what you're doing, call them on it and be like, why are you so negative? What is wrong with what I'm doing? Like, explain to me what I could be doing differently that would make you more pleased with what I'm doing, or what should be different here that would change how you feel about this group, this team, me, the work, whatever. I think sometimes by confronting things with people, it at least makes them aware of what they're doing. I think oftentimes really negative people aren't even aware that they're so negative. And I think by punching the negativity in the face and saying, God, you're so fucking negative. Like, why are you so negative? What would you do differently? I think it does a couple things. It puts it out in the open so that you're not repressing how you feel about it inside. I think the second thing is it puts it out on the table of like, what do you think should be different? Like, how would you change things? change things. I think the worst part about negative people is most negative people, as far as I see it, also have huge inertia. They just literally sit around judging everyone else, how everyone else does things, what everyone else is doing, who everyone else is, and they have no creativity. They have no energy. They have no solutions. They have no ideas. They have no drive, like no proactivity to making things better. Like, I have people like that in my life that just make me crazy. I tend to be a little bit avoidant, where I'm just like, I just am not going to engage with that or deal with that. But in the workplace, if one of your coworkers is really negative, I would feel very empowered to go up and be like, why are you so negative? And what would you do differently? And chances are they won't have an answer, but it will make them more aware of what they're doing. Okay, next up, how do you bridge the generational gap and divide about discussing mental health? It's so funny. We were just talking about this in the beginning of this episode. Mental health is funny. People are different now. Younger, it's kind of like the boomer zoomer thing, which is, look, every generation of people are different. Every person is different in an existing generation. There tends to be norms or certain ways cultures work that change over time. One of the things that's really changing over time is how people in their late teens, people in their 20s, people in their early 30s feel about work, how they feel about themselves, what they prioritize, what they like, how they want to do things, what they value in life, all that kind of stuff. If you're from my generation or older, you were kind of taught to not talk about your problems, to shove them deep down, dark inside of you, drink or work more, and just carry on and soldier through. That was kind of the overwhelming, everything you should do should be to be more successful in life, to make more money, shove everything else inside of you, cope with it however you can, and then just basically shut the fuck up about it. That's my era, and I think the eras that came before me. What's happening now is people are way more expressive. People are so much more open. Their hearts are on their sleeves. And some people, I think, call young people weak or sensitive or soft. And I can be victim of that. I think there are places in life, or there are people in life who by and large are not resilient. I think as a parent, parents in my generation and the generation slightly ahead of me are making their kids soft because we're bubble wrapping them. But it's not a bad thing to wear your heart on your sleeve. And I think what you've got to come into any conversation about mental health, you've got to come in to it as a good listener. You got to ask basic questions. What's important to you? How much do you want to share about your life here at work? How can I, as your manager, your peer, your partner, whatever, how can I be most supportive of you? And hey, here's 3 things that I've tried that have worked for me that you might want to try that may work for you, or you may just want to disregard altogether. So that's how I would bridge the gap. I wouldn't pretend that you understand younger people at work if you don't. I wouldn't state that how you do things is the way people should do things going forward. I think there's a need for a conversation where people can learn from one another. And ultimately, you're going to want to create a situation that enables people to be at their best, and also acknowledges that people come to every situation differently and with different needs and with different baggage and different things that have come before. And so long as you're cognizant of that, you're appreciative of it, you want to learn through it, you're clear about your values and principles, and you ask for people to share theirs, I think really good things can come of it, and you can have a very honest conversation about mental health.